lost mine in the sand. Where will you stand?
Live from Modi'in, Israel, Hanok Young. And I guess from what you just told me, Hanok, if it wasn't for the American government and the president, there really wouldn't be anything to talk about today, right?
Well, there'd be stuff, but not nearly as much.
Okay, okay.
Um, you know, I really don't like to do the Israel update with notes, but I've got an entire, I mean, it's insane.
Okay,
So
well,
I'll touch upon things
since I'm
and then,
still a little bit jet lag, I'll just sit back and relax and let you take
okay,
over, okay?
fair enough. Okay, so yeah, it's all about Trump. So last week, there was something that happened. We didn't get a chance to mention it, but it is worth mentioning. So Syria's president, and again, I just want to remind everyone, 1 year ago, here was a guy, a jihadi, with
Yeah,
a $12 million American bounty on his head.
yeah. One
Within
year.
less than a year, within less than a year, he's at the White House telling everyone Trump supports his position that Israel needs to withdraw from the little bits of Syria that we took after the Assad regime fell. And I'm just sitting there scratching the back of my head saying, I'm on top of the news. I literally am, am ashamed to mention how many hours a day I read news reports, and I'm constantly, recycling this information and putting this together. And I'm astounded.
Yeah.
I'm astounded that within that year, less than a year, we've got no, it was right after the inauguration, the Trump Gaza plan, where he's
Okay.
going to build the Riviera,
Yeah.
to he's not doing that, to he's pushing out the population, to he's not pushing out the population, to now we're kind of dividing and splitting. But there are so many other points, we can't even focus on that right now. Trump was asked about Tucker Carlson interviewing Nick Fuentes.
Hmm.
And at first he kind of like, well, I don't really know much about Fuentes. Fuentes and Kanye West had dinner with him in his Florida, estate. So to claim that he doesn't know the guy, doesn't know about him, but here was an opportunity to criticize Tucker Carlson for his blatant Jew hatred,
Yeah.
and Trump did not.
Hmm.
Um, it wasn't that long ago that Mike Evans of the Friends of Israel Museum, which is a magnificent museum, put up this huge poster at the entrance to Jerusalem comparing Trump to Koresh, Cyrus.
Yeah.
So this thing makes me crazy. Oh, but we have to keep going because there's just too much to talk about. Trump pushed through a UN Security Council resolution accepting his 20 points
Yeah.
for Gaza, especially the part of creating a pathway to something called a Palestinian state. Now,
So let me get this right. He's not talking about a two-state solution anymore, just a Palestinian state.
no, that is a two-state solution, that
Yeah,
there would be an
I,
Israel and a
I
Palestine.
was kind of just kind of trying to run that through my mind of how is Palestinian state not a two-state solution, which hasn't really worked out to begin with anywhere along the way. And here, it's just different wording, basically. Same thing.
But it's this idea that he's keen on an idea. See, this
Yeah.
is back to the original 2020.
Yeah.
This is the deal of the century. And it's okay. Now, okay, I have to deviate for a quick second. So Netanyahu made a press statement that he agrees with. I'm looking for the wording here, but it's something that like that's a good deal. Um, oh, Trump's vision welcomes the Trump's vision for Gaza. Here's the interesting thing: that press conference, that statement was only in English. Most Israelis, again, tourists don't experience this
No.
because they go to a tourist shop or they go to a place in the shuk in Machane Yehuda and they point and the guy will say, pomegranate juice, big, little, and it's like, oh, they speak English. No, they're not going to sit and listen to a news report in English. So he said that in English. That's unsettling enough. Hamas is not disarming, and America's not saying a word about it.
No, in fact, the news reports I've been able to see, I mean, stuff you've already seen, I'm sure, is that Hamas is actually rearming, Hezbollah rearming, everybody else, the whole world.
Okay.
And you talk about Bibi Netanyahu just saying this in English. This is the same as when Yasser Arafat,
Yep.
Mahmoud Abbas gets up and says a speech in English and then says
Yep.
it in Arabic, and it's totally different.
Totally different.
But nobody calls him out
Okay.
on it.
Hamas is stockpiling advanced weaponry outside of Gaza. This is a little thing that hasn't gotten much play. They have allies throughout Africa and other places. They're stockpiling this there so that eventually it could get to them and or be used. Remember, we're talking about globalize the Intifada, a statement that the mayor of the Islamic Republic of New York has not distanced himself from.
Yeah.
So this is okay, but let's keep going because there are too many points, and then we could talk about it. Hezbollah is not disarming.
Hmm.
Now remember, this was another American brokered ceasefire, and the Lebanese army, when it comes to disarming Hezbollah, is busy saying, Hamana, 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 Hamana. They're not going to do it. Okay, the Saudis.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, this is the big stuff. So, first of all, you need to go online, boys and girls, and look at the welcoming ceremonies for the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia at the White House. I have never in my lifetime seen such pomp and circumstance since, and this wasn't this is totally different situation, since the funeral of President Kennedy.
Yeah.
The guys on horses, totally bizarre. Trump announces that Saudi Arabia is, quote, a major non-NATO ally, and they're going to get the F-35s, the same version that Israel has. And originally, it appeared that they were going to be forced into the Abraham Accords, which Trump now refers to as the Abraham Accords, which I think is a riot. But they're not. And the Crown Prince said that, yeah, they'd like to be involved in this, but there has to be a clear path to a Palestinian state. In addition to the F-35s, and I'm going to mention something about the F-35s in a moment, but I want to mention this before I forget. They're also buying 300 tanks. What country is going to be invading Saudi Arabia with tanks that they need tanks to defend themselves? Now, here
Yeah.
is where it really pays to look at maps, boys and girls, because if you look at the major Saudi Air Force bases, they're in northern Saudi Arabia. Northern Saudi Arabia is 5 minutes flight time from Eilat. So they don't even have to necessarily attack us, but just keep like rushing towards the plains. We scramble and mobilize. Same thing happened before the 67 war. There's this constant need to mobilize and be ready.
Okay, wait, whoa,
Uh,
whoa, 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 whoa. I thought I was pretty decent with maps of the Middle East and where Israel is and all those things,
yep.
but that one just got me. So from northern Saudi Arabia to Eilat, 5 minutes.
5 minutes. And I got to tell you, you have an advantage. You and Kathy were in air traffic control. Okay, for the U.S. Army. See, but for the average person, they're not. They're like, what? What? So yeah, because People think Saudi Arabia is down
Yeah.
here and Israel's up there. And okay, Iran keeps marching towards their nuclear vision,
Hmm.
um, which is astounding because Trump assured us they were obliterated. But okay, the bigger threat, perhaps, is from Turkey. Turkey wants to have troops in this, international stabilization force in Gaza. Armed Turkish troops on our border. Not that these troops will invade, but these troops will enable Hamas, who they're very close with, and the Muslim Brotherhood to this day,
Yeah.
to rearm. These are all serious issues, not the least of which is Turkey is also establishing bases in northern Syria, which again, I wish you guys would look at maps because northern Syria is right up there with
Yeah.
Turkey.
Yeah.
Um, so all of this is going on, and I keep grabbing my face because my head just keeps swiveling. And I'm not the only one. You know, it's interesting. I have to share something that Rav Kahana taught us. Uh, there was we this was there was a 7-week seminar to train leadership for JDL with Rav Kahana, and there was a small group of us. I was the group leader. And I remember him telling us one day he comes with a folded newspaper, and it was an edition of the New York Times, which was probably like 3 weeks, late. But anyway,
Yeah.
he holds it up and he said, "I'm now going to teach you how to read the newspaper." And what we did was actually read different articles and then try to step back and say, okay, besides the obvious, what they're saying,
Yeah.
what's the potential backstory behind what's going
Yeah.
on? And that's the thing that is most concerning. America, most Americans had until the last number of years traditionally been pro-Israel, or at least not anti. I mean, I remember an elder of a congregation that I used to speak at told me once, yes, we as a congregation support Israel. Um, we don't do anything about it, but we support Israel.
Yeah.
Whatever support means. Okay, so here's the situation. You've got the left that is vehemently anti-Israel. The vast majority of young Americans are vehemently anti-Israel. And now you have the conservative lunatic fringe vehemently anti-Israel. And when I say anti-Israel, I mean Jew hatred as well.
Yeah.
This is flat out. So this is shocking.
Mm.
Not surprising, but shocking.
Not at all. Uh, yeah, not at all. You talk about the Jew hatred, and I just, we can say anti-Semitism all day, but it ends up becoming just flat Jew hatred.
Yeah.
Um, the other aspect of that is you have a radical group on one side and an apathetic group on the other side. Those whose voices are, those who are using their voices right now regarding support for Israel are very, very small.
Yeah. Few and far between.
And one of the things about our Connect to Israel experience that you know very well, I just was on the phone with someone last night after they spent an hour on the phone with you, I guess. But yeah, the, the the most people will go to Israel and never meet an Israeli.
No.
They'll never get the backstories. They'll go see this site and this cow and this thing over here and this thing, but it never is about meeting the people, putting faces. It's easy to walk away from something that's just a piece of dirt. It's like, okay, well, it's just a piece of dirt. As I heard a pastor years ago say, Israel is no more than just a piece of dirt in the Middle East. But when you go there and you put put people who are walking on that dirt and are walking out prophecy on that dirt, it becomes a totally different story.
Yeah.
For me, I can't help but be involved. It's just not an option because
It's yeah.
as you know, I'm probably closer to. I probably have more friends in Israel than I do in the United States. Closer friends. I have a lot of acquaintances, but some of the
I to
closest people to
I
me are in
totally
Israel.
understand.
Yeah.
I totally understand. Oh, speaking about Israel, it's not just our Connect to Israel experience that people are reminiscing about on social media, but there seems to be a popular theme of people putting up posts about previous trips to Israel and talking about different things. And I guess it's their way of kind of countering what's going on in general in social media. Um, like for instance, the one thing I saw today on Instagram, I had forgotten about it, is allegedly anyone who posts pro-Israel stuff gets $7,000 a post. I got to tell you, that is the most laughable thing. I'm like, gets the money from whom? The rich government of Israel? The rich government of Israel that can't subsidize the price of cottage cheese? But anyway, let's
Well,
talk. Yeah.
I've got to run to the post office, Hanok. So we're going to cut the program short because I should have a couple of checks at the post office right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I do
Um,
have Bibi Netanyahu's at his signature. When I met him, I had him did a stupid thing, but I said, "Could you sign this napkin for my son?" And so that is in Korea right now. That's probably the only time I'll ever see his signature.
okay.
Okay,
One of
go.
the things that people talk about after a trip to Israel is how incredibly safe they felt.
Yeah.
That seems to be consistent. And again, I'm not talking about just people I've guided. I'm talking about in
Oh yeah.
general. But there's one thing that they mention about that I want to touch upon because I want to dispel a misconception. People often say, I felt safe, or my family told me they felt safe because of all the IDF soldiers patrolling the streets. Now I've got to say, full stop. There are no IDF soldiers
Yeah.
patrolling the streets of Israel in any city. That's what our police is for.
Yeah.
Now, what confuses people potentially is the uniform of our border police, which is kind of a gray green.
Hmm.
And they've probably seen multiple border police women, all young, all armed to the teeth, and all with incredibly long straight hair.
Yeah.
I don't know, I remember hearing like, oh, Jews have all this kinky hair, can I, a Jew fro, and like doesn't exist here. I don't know. I
Not with the
like
border
somebody.
police girls, it doesn't.
No, evidently not. Evidently not. So I just want to clarify that we don't have soldiers, male or female, patrolling the streets of Israel. They're not trained for that. They're trained to fight in combat.
Well, I
So
think
that's what our police is.
another thing, Hanok, is people is the mistake is made because in America we don't see military,
No,
carrying weapons.
no,
Okay,
no, absolutely not.
when I was in the army, I was not allowed to even stop for gas if I had my fatigues on.
Yeah,
Okay, it was if I stopped for gas, got out of a car with my fatigues on, I could be up, I could be written up for that. But in Israel, God forbid that they would have actually given me a gun and it be loaded. But in Israel, you see young people, kids,
yeah,
they're walking around doing their typical everyday stuff. I've seen, people in shorts and bathing suits and whatever,
yeah.
and they have an M16 or whatever with them. Why?
I'm for.
Because this
Yeah,
is the readiness that Israel walks in. And so that
it's
is
also
somehow mistaken that they're actually patrolling the streets. No, it's just that
yeah.
this is the lifestyle that Israel has.
And particularly if you're in the old city, in the
Yeah.
Jewish quarter, you'll see groups of young soldiers. If you look
Yeah.
closely, you'll see that they're not locked and loaded. They're not. And they're there for tours, just like we're bringing people.
Yeah.
Because everyone thinks that everyone in Israel has been to Jerusalem and been, no, no. So it's in the same way when I was a kid, we would take field trips to Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia to see the Liberty Bell. Um, maybe the Amish country. So this is where our kids go. I had a group recently at Masada, and there were all these Israeli school kids there. By the way, I only saw two small groups of tourists from overseas
Wow.
on Masada. I mean, this was so, and so when people say to me, um, "Hey, I hear tourism is back," again, the estimate that I've seen is that 3 to 5% of tourism based on previous years is what we're experiencing.
Yeah.
Now, even though we have a heat wave in Israel, this is the start of our winter season.
Yeah.
Winter is always a downtime for tourism. People say, well, what about Christmas? Yes, some people will come, although Beit Lechem, Bethlehem, I was there once with a tour group a number of years ago, back in 2018, and there's nothing going on Christmas Eve. That's number one. Number two, January and February. People say, well, why do you come to America in January and February? It's not good weather in parts of America, as I experienced. Um, yeah, that's true, but there's no tourism here. So, I could sit around and, go to the gym, get all pumped up, but like really. So
And the
it's so
other
it's kind of crazy.
the other aspect about this, with you talk about Christmas, is that these are for the most part Catholic groups from various places, a lot from Italy, that are going. These people do not spend money in Israel.
No,
Very, very little is spent by these people. This is not a tour group. This is not a Connect Israel experience.
no,
This is a group of people that are wanting to go over and basically, find where the Pope was at some point in time. This has nothing to do with support for the land and people of Israel.
no.
It is a total religious experience.
Yeah. And it's
Nothing
a
more.
religious experience based on, as someone told me once, this is great. I want to walk the land where Jesus started Christianity.
Well, there's a new one.
And
Huh.
I rarely find myself without a pithy comeback. Um, you
Yeah.
know, although there was the time that I got criticized for a tour in the Western Wall tunnels years ago by someone she was European, and she said, "You said that Jerusalem is the eternal capital of Israel, and Jerusalem is not recognized as the capital." So I said, "Well, you may not recognize it, but it's our capital." And then she said something else, and so everyone else was on the tour. The other 30 people are around us. This is great. And she said, something. And I said, where in Europe are you from? And she refused to say. So it's like, yeah, okay, okay,
Yeah.
and then she's like, your attitude is, not helping towards peace. And I said, listen, and this is not an original line, but I said, you guys killed all the nice Jews. I'm one of the ones that are left.
Oh yeah. That statement of that's where he started Christianity kind of goes up with the Belgium pastor that invited me for lunch and served ham sandwiches, which I did not partake one. But I said to him along the way, I said, Paul, the Apostle Paul was a Jew, and he says, well, yes, until he converted to Christianity.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
We
the
got we
neighborhood
got
I
a lot
grew
of
up in,
work
the
ahead of us, man. We got a lot
neighborhood
of
where I
work.
grew up, they said that Jesus, converted on the cross.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Uh,
Yeah, we got along real well there. But
yeah,
anyway,
yeah. So,
so so someone asked me the other day, when is your next Connect Israel group? Like, is it like in the winter? Or I'm like, well, it's October. It's October. We're giving people a chance to, rest up and save up and get ready, get their passports in gear.
the Connect Israel website, connectisrael.org, is undergoing some updates, yes, but you can still go there and see a sample itinerary. You can still see some of the testimonials from previous tours. You can still go and see the price and what that involves. You can see the dates. And there's this funny little button that says "Message Mike" if you would like to have your name placed upon a list to be one of those who is going to be on the next Connect Israel experience. And I wish I could say that my email box is just lighting up, but Hanok, it's not. People need
Yeah.
to, as we've said, is being serious about. And I know that a lot of people are in a place in life they can't go. I got that.
Right.
But I said this on Life on Purpose the other night with Jared and Alex. It is, I believe, and this came out in a conversation that I had while I was in Israel. It is time, maybe far past time, that we put his house ahead of our house.
Yeah. By the way, I listened to that episode. It's very good.
Oh, good,
I
good,
really enjoyed it.
good.
I don't always get a chance to, to be able to do that, but I took the time. It was great. Very well
Hey,
worth it. I
you had to
recommend
take
it to
a,
everybody. Y'all need to listen.
you
Yeah,
had
Mike's
to,
going to talk about Israel. Yeah, I know. That must be really hard on your heads,
yeah.
but it is what it is.
It uh, it
Again,
it it caused
we're
it,
serious about this.
it caused
We're serious
Hanok to
about
not be
this.
able to see the news for 50 minutes.
Yeah.
All right, man. Stay safe. See you next week.
Take care, Mike. Regards.